أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هي أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وكيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين أولي النعمة ومهلهم قليلا إن لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا خصة وعذابا أليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال وكانت الجبال كثيبا مهيلا إنا أرسلنا إليكم رسولا شاهدا عليكم كما أرسلنا إلى فرعون رسولا فعصى فرعون الرسول فأخذناه أخذا وبيلا فكيف تتقون إن كفرتم يوما يجعل الولدان شيبا السماء منفطر به كان وعده مفعولا إن هذه تذكرة فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه سبيلا إن ربك يعلم أنك تقوم أدنى من ثلثي الليل ونصفه وثلثه وطائفة من الذين معك والله يقدر الليل والنهار علم أن لن تحصوه فتاب عليكم فاقرأوا ما تيسر من القرآن علم أن سيكون منكم مرضى وآخرون يضربون في الأرض يبتغون من فضل الله وآخرون يقاتلون في سبيل الله فاقرأوا ما تيسر منه وأقيموا الصلاة وآتوا الزكاة وأقرضوا الله قرضا حسنا وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله وما تقدموا لأنفسكم من خير تجدوه عند الله هو خيرا وأعظم أجرا واستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Jazakallah, Brother Muhammad Hussain, for his success in this life and hereafter. Please recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Now for the recitation of Salam and Marsiyah, I would like to request our brother Zirak Shah to please come forward and offer his pursa to Bibi Sayyida Fatima Zahra Salamullah Alaiha. Please welcome him with a loud salawat.
مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، اے مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا، اے مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، ہے لگتے دل سیدہ فاطمہ زہرا، ہے لگتے دل سیدہ فاطمہ زہرا، تابوت ہے دل بندے نبی سبت نبی کا، مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا، اے مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، ہمراہ جنازے کے یہ ہاتف کی صدا ہے، ہمراہ جنازے کے یہ ہاتف کی صدا ہے، سر پیٹو جنازہ ہے امام ازلی کا، مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا، اے مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، بے دینوں نے غربت میں سے زہر دیا ہے، بے دینوں نے غربت میں سے زہر دیا ہے، ماتم ہے بپا شاہ خراساں کے وسیع کا، مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا، اے مومن تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا، جینے نہ دیا شاہ کو 25 برس بھی، جینے نہ دیا شاہ کو 25 برس بھی، مشکل تھا کیا جینا زمانے نے تقی کا، مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا اے مومن و تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا دروازے سے جس کے نہ گیا کوئی بھی خالی دروازے سے جس کے نہ گیا کوئی بھی خالی ہائے یہ جنازہ ہے سخی ابن سخی کا مظلوم کا معصوم کا فرزند نبی کا اے مومن و تابوت ہے مولا تقی کا صلوات و محمد آل محمد صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ نہ بدلو حج کا ارادہ ہے نہ بدلو حج کا ارادہ حسین رک جاؤ صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ تم اپنے جد کے مقام میں ہو بیدرار نہیں حسین مجھ کو زمانے کا اعتبار نہیں ہے ساتھ ثانی زہرا ہے ساتھ ثانی زہرا حسین رک جاؤ صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ تمہارے پاؤں پکڑتی ہے سرزمین حرم خدا کے واسطے آگے نہ اب بڑھاؤ قدم نہ جاؤ جانب کوفہ ہے نہ جاؤ جانب کوفہ حسین رک جاؤ صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ کہو رباب سے بے شیر کو بھی لے آؤ علی کی تہا یہاں پہ مکین ہو جاؤ تمہارا بچہ ہے چھوٹا ہے تمہارا بچہ ہے چھوٹا حسین رک جاؤ صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ حسین رک جاؤ علی کو قیدی بنایا گیا مدینے کو مارا گیا مدینے میں، رے سنا غربت زہرا ہے، سنا غربت زہرا، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، سنا ہے کرب و بلا میں بلا کی گرمی ہے، تمہیں پتہ ہے اسے کتنی پیاس لگتی ہے ساتھ بالی سکینہ ہے ساتھ بالی سکینہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، لعین پھرتے ہیں احرام میں لیے خنجر، تم اپنی بہنوں کو لے آؤ کعبے کے اندر، ہر ایک سمت ہے خطرہ ہے، ہر ایک سمت ہے خطرہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، وہ غم امام کا سجاد کس طرح لکھے، نکل کے مکہ سے کتنا حسین روئے تھے، بلاتا رہ گیا کعبہ ہے، بلاتا رہ گیا کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صدائیں دیتا ہے کعبہ، حسین رک جاؤ، صلوات و تعالی۔
Jazakallah, brother Zirak Shah. May Ahle Bayt alayhi salam accept your pursa. For his and his family, sehat and salamti, please recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala. Brothers and sisters, Majlis to commemorate the shahadat of Imam Muhammad al-Baqir alayhi salam and Hazrat Muslim bin Aqil alayhi salam will take place next Thursday, June 13. We'll start the Majlis at the same time as we did today at 7:15 p.m. inshallah. And once again, that Majlis will be addressed by Hujjatul Islam Maulana Amir Mukhtar Faizi. Tonight's Majlis is being sponsored by the family of Sister Nargis Khan. For her and her family, sehat, salamti, barakat in this life and hereafter, please recite a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Let's recite Surah Fatiha for Sister Nargis Khan's family's marhumeen, and for all of your marhumeen, especially for marhum Hussain Raza, Fatima binte Sabur Ali, Mir Yusuf Ali, Zahra Begum, and Arif Ali, preceded by a loud salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajjal faraj. Bismillah. Rabbil alameen ar-Rahmanir Rahim maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka nasta'in ihdinas siratal mustaqim siratal ladzina an'amta alayhim ghayril maghdubi alayhim waladdallin. At this time, I would like to request Hujjatul Islam Maulana Amir Mukhtar Faizi to please come to the member and address the community. Bar Muhammad Wale Muhammad Salawat.
فاتحة بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين، والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. صل على محمد وآل محمد. واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين من الأولين والآخرين. أما بعد، فقد قال الإمام التقي الجواد عليه الصلاة والسلام: من أصغى إلى ناطق فقد عبده. صلوات. Dear brothers and sisters in Iman, in this evening we gathered to commemorate the martyrdom of our ninth Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala Muhammad. He was an Imam who entered in the office of Imamat at the youngest age so far. From the beginning of Imamat, although Amirul Mu'mineen, when he was supposed to be the Khalifa and Imam for the Ummah had neglected him, and they had made the excuse that he is too young for this position while he was 33. So Ummah didn't take Imam Ali as their Khalifa because he was only 33. And we, the followers of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salatu wassalam, take our ninth Imam and 10th Imam even when they were at the age of 8. And then our 12th Imam at the age of 5. So that's a big difference between both schools of thought. To our brothers and sisters in Ahlus Sunnah, the age, exposure, experience, these things are very important. And they look at that person that who is supposed to be their Imam or their Khalifa, meaning his age and his experience and his exposure. But we don't look into any of these things. We follow the school of thought where we believe that the Imam or Nabi, An-Nabi or Al-Imam, An-Nabi o Nabi ya Al-Imam o Imam walau kana Sabiya. That Nabi is a Nabi even if he is in cradle. The example is Nabi Isa. An Imam is an Imam even if he is an infant or a young child, just like Isa or like Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad or Imam Ali An-Naqi Al-Hadi or Imam Al-Askari or Imam Muhammad Al-Mahdi alayhi salatu wassalam. So just keep one thing in mind, that why do we think that age doesn't matter? Age doesn't matter because Nabi or Imam are taught by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They don't go to school to learn. They don't go to madrasa to learn. They don't go to anyone in the society to seek the education and then experience, and then they need to reach to a certain level where now we can say they are mature enough, they are qualified enough, they have that much background so that now they can lead or they can guide or they can teach. Our school of thought says that Anbiya are born as Anbiya and Imams are born as Imams, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives them knowledge directly, which is called the ilm of nubuwwat or ilm of imamat. And when they have this ilm of nubuwwat and ilm of imamat directly given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to them, then they don't need, then the age doesn't matter. Whether they are young, whether they are old, it doesn't make any difference in Hujjate Khuda. And that's why the ages of all those Anbiya were very different from one another, and similarly the ages of our Imams from one another were also very different from one another. So I just thought that I should mention, because there are many youth sitting in the Majlis, so they should know that if somebody questions them about the young age of their Imams, so they should know that age is important for those who go to school here. Those who go to learn how to guide and how to lead, they learn from these worldly institutions. And if you have to go to the local school, if you have to go to the local institution to learn and get education and get the skills to lead, of course then age will be a criteria and education is going to be a criteria. But when you don't need any of this thing, and that's why it has been our challenge in all these 14 centuries that no one in the Muslim Ummah can point out that if there was anyone who was teacher of our Imams, or whether our Imam went to someone and studied under someone, or they got any education from anyone. They cannot point one individual that this Imam of Ahlul Bayt, for example, went to someone in Medina or wherever they were used to live and sat down in front of him as a student and learned from him. They never had a need to go to someone. Even when they were young, the old men of the town were used to come to our young Imams to study from them. So, one of those examples is over this ninth Imam. I'm not going to tell you the whole story, but just a few lines from this. Ma'mun, who is a very known Khalifa from the Abbasis, the one who had martyred our eighth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa ar-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam, wanted to cover up, and as he had certain other political motives when he had brought Imam Rida and made him his crown prince, now he is taking another step. And what was that? He wanted to marry his daughter Ummul Fadl with this young Imam, the son of Imam Rida, Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad. So he invites him from Medina and he proposes his own daughter, the daughter of Khalifa, and Khalifa is Ma'mun, to our ninth Imam. And when he makes that decision, his own family and people around him, they said, first you had made a blunder and you made his father the crown prince. We were afraid that this Khilafat will go out from Bani Abbas to the Bani Ali. According to them, God saved them and saved their Khilafat because Imam Ali Rida alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred in his own life and Khilafat didn't go out from Bani Abbas to Bani Hashim or Bani Ali. So he says, no, you are making the second blunder. You are marrying your daughter Ummul Fazl to this son of Rida, and he will become your son-in-law, and then of course, meaning these are the people with whom we have issues and problems. Why do you want to bring them in? While our policy was always to isolate them and to drive them away from the power as much as we can. Ma'mun, as he had not listened to his family when he was bringing Imam Rida in, so this time also he didn't listen to them. He said, you don't know. I know better what I'm doing. I know why I'm doing. They said, then at least he is too young. Let him go and study with some senior teachers and acquire knowledge and skills. And when he reaches to a certain level of maturity and he has knowledge and he has skills, then you see if you like him, then you can marry your daughter with him. But don't marry right now your daughter with someone whom we think that he is just like a kid. Ma'mun says, you don't know this family. You have so much this bias against this family that you don't know their real potential or their real background. If I had brought his father, I knew his caliber. And I know even the caliber of this young man. He is not a kid. And he doesn't need to go somewhere to study and get education from someone else. He has all that. They say, how can we believe that? We have to test. He said, no problem. So Ma'mun arranges a meeting of the senior most scholars of his time. These were the senior most scholars of Muslim Ummah. All those muftis, all those scholars with big turbans and those long beards, they were all brought in the court of Ma'mun. And then Imam alayhi salatu wasalam asked our ninth Imam, the Ma'mun asks our ninth Imam, Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam, to come in the court. So Ma'mun explains that I have arranged this meeting of scholars, ulama, muftis, and I want to see that these scholars asking questions from the son of Imam Rida. And I want them to ask him all the questions what they can ask. So, Mufti A'zam, like the chief Mufti of the Muslim state, and we are talking about the big empire, not today's any small state. It was the biggest state on the earth at that time. And its chief Mufti is being asked, Yahya bin Aqsam, to ask the question from Imam. So he comes and he has made his mind to test this young boy or young man. And you know, in our Islamic law, the most complicated laws and chapters are either the Kitabul Hajj or Kitabul Miras. If you want to really puzzle someone and you want to ask someone a question that you think and you want to make him fail, then always pick up one of those questions in about Hajj or the Masail of inheritance. Because these are not very practical. Everyone is not practicing these Masail every day in everyday life. And those are also very complicated. How to divide the inheritance among all the heirs. Give everyone their share accordingly, according to Quran and according to all those rules. And same is the Masail of Hajj. So he comes up with a question about Hajj. He says, young man, I want to ask you a question that what if someone goes for Hajj and he ends up killing an animal while he is in ihram? So what is the kafara which he has to pay? So he thinks this is a very difficult, very complicated question. And he is asking from a young man, maybe he has not even done Hajj yet. He has not gone there for Hajj. And to remember these details of kafaras of Hajj is one of those very difficult chapter. So, when Yahya bin Aqsam, the chief justice of the system, with that big amama, long beard, with abba, kaba, with his stick in his hand, sitting at big chair, asking from a young man in his teens that answer me this question. The entire darbar, the court, everyone, and these were the hundreds of people, chosen people, VIPs, elites, also looking at that. Normally in these circumstances, even if you know the masala, you forget because of the fear of so many people looking at you. And apparently this is the first time when Imam is facing this kind of scenario, coming in this huge big gathering, sitting in front of king, and among all these scholars in their own uniforms, in a court, and being asked this mas'ala, this question. So, when everybody is now enjoying that, this is the question, he made a right question to fail him. Imam listened to the question. Imam said, your question is not complete and is not clear. It is adab for any questioner that he or she should ask a complete question and clear question. So if you don't have, your question is not complete, and if it is not clear, then how someone is going to answer your question? He says, sir, my question is complete. He said, repeat it. He said, my question is, someone goes at Hajj, he is in ihram, he ends up killing an animal. What is kafara? My question is complete. Now Imam, when everybody have again heard that and certain suspense is created, so Imam says, no, your question is not complete. He said, why my question is not complete? He said, your question is not complete because you have not mentioned that this person who has gone there at Hajj, you are saying, he didn't use the term Hajj, he used the word ihram. He is muhrim. In ihram, he did that. He killed the animal. So Imam said, you didn't specify first of all whether he was wearing the ihram of Umrah or he was wearing the ihram of Hajj. That's number one. You didn't specify, and because in both scenarios are different, the ihram of Umrah and ihram of Hajj. Second thing, you didn't specify, you didn't clear that when he killed this animal was killed in hill or it was killed in haram. The rules are different. So you didn't specify whether this animal was killed in hill or it was in haram. Third, you didn't specify that when he killed this animal, he killed the animal intentionally or unintentionally. You didn't specify because rules are different. Then Imam says you didn't mention that this animal was big or this animal was small. It was a bird or it was a cattle. It was an animal with 4 legs. You didn't mention that this person who was wearing hijab and ihram and he did that, whether he was a slave or he was a free man. So Imam ﷺ now started making questions from this question, and he came up with 20 questions, 20 scenarios. And he says, now from all these 20 scenarios, now you tell me which one of these you mean. And by then, Yahya bin Aksam was all gone. Because after hearing these 20 scenarios, he had lost himself. He says, sir, no, I got my answer. You are a knowledgeable man. You know more than me, and I don't need to really question you. Recite a salawat. At that young age, Imam ﷺ proved himself that we don't come here to learn. We don't learn at these schools and at these institutions. Our knowledge is God-given. Our merits, our talents, our skills, our abilities, all are God-given. As the position of Imamat is also God-given. So Imam ﷺ, at very young age, the Shia community was almost in crisis after the shahadat of 8th Imam, because now, first time in their history, they have to follow an imam who is only 8 years old. So it took some time until consensus were built, until this entire community was brought into the tent or into the camp of imam. It was not easy. And my brothers and sisters, we should give them some room also, to those Shias of that time, some benefit of doubt that it was first time that the community was facing this issue. First time. So, the community leaders, elders, our ulama, the companions of his father, the companions of his grandfather, they all worked together, and finally they were able to build the consensus and take out the community from these crises. And there is a lesson for us, even in our times, that sometime as a community we may come up or we may face a scenario or a crisis in our community, whether local or at national level or at international level. Then instead of just abandoning our faith or abandoning our aqidah or turning back to our community or of our tradition and just jumping to the wrong conclusions, what we need to do is, we need to do the same what our scholars and what our ancestors were used to do in the times of those imams and in those crises. In those crises, the ultimate standard, there were two. For judging an imam or reaching to the conclusion that he is true imam or not, there were two standards. One was their knowledge. Scholars would go and ask them questions. And then they would see that these are the kind of questions that only an imam can answer. And anyone who is going to answer those questions correctly is going to be the imam. The second thing sometimes was mu'jiza. To perform a miracle, to prove that you are an imam. Otherwise anybody can memorize a few verses and few hadiths and few masail and can say, I am your imam. So in those tough and difficult decisions, you look at his miraculous powers. And of course the purity of their character. What was their reputation? In the family, in the neighborhood, in the community so far, what kind of reputation they had. We are living in difficult times, where day after day, you will be, this is the age of social media, you will be seeing somebody making claims of imamat in some part of the world, and the other time another person standing up from somewhere again making the claim of imamat. I am the imam, I am the 12th imam, I am al-muntazar, I am al-mahdi. Or people will start kind of creating those confusions, fitnas of the Dajjal. We are slowly now getting into that phase. What we need to do is look at our past, look at our history of these imams and see that we have gone through all that. There were always a few people with the claim of imamat and the false claim of imamat after the shahadat of almost every imam. After the shahadat of, for example, Imam Hussain alayhi salatu wasalam, we had people with the false claims of imamat. Or at least some people had some beliefs about them that they are the imam and they were not the true imams. And then after the shahadat of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salatu wasalam, again, After the Shahadat of Imam Jafar as-Sadiq alayhi salatu wasalam, this big split, which today we see the Ismailis and the Sheikh Imamis and these Aga Khanis and Boras and then Isna Asharis, this all division took place after the Shahadat of our sixth Imam. And there was confusion and there were people with the false claims of Imamat. And then this continued until the seventh Imam. People said he was not martyred, he went in Ghaibat, the seventh Imam. And they said he is still around, but he is in cave or he is gone in mountains and he didn't go away. And these people did waqf or wukuf on him, that's why those people were called Waqifiyya, and this was a huge, big number of Shias. That who said seventh Imam was Al-Qa'im, and he was the Imam, and he didn't go away. And that's why they were not believing in the Imamat of eighth Imam, Imam Ali ibn Musa ar-Rida alayhi salatu wassalam. Imam Ali ibn Musa ar-Rida had very difficult job to bring all these Shias of his father back to him. And he was able eventually to bring overwhelming majority of those Shias back, but it took so much effort and so much time. Imam, and not only the Imam, but the entire people around Imam, they put efforts together and they built that base. Just one more example. The eighth Imam, first of all, it took a lot of effort for the eighth Imam to bring these people in. And now what happened, you know, that our eighth Imam, he got only one son, and that was also in the later part of his age, when he was in his late 40s. And now there was a big challenge in the community and confusion and almost crisis. People were saying that if he is the Imam, so who is his successor? And if there is no successor for him and the Imamat is going to end on the eighth Imam, then what was wrong to end it on the seventh Imam? So what does make difference? If we had to stop at him, so we should stop at Imam Musa Kadhim. Then why did we have to believe in him? Because he has no successor. He has no child. And Shias would come and ask Imam, Mawla, where is your son? Where is your successor? Imam would say, he will come. He will come on his time. Allah has his own plans. Don't rush. Don't lose your patience. You know, sometime when we don't have child, what is our situation and how much we make nazar and mannat and dua and go knock this door and knock that door and lose patience. Here is Imam, the eighth Imam himself, Imam and Imam Ali ar-Rida, and he is not having a child. So community almost his following is in crisis. And then at his later period of his age, when he is in his late 40s, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam gets his son Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad alayhi salatu wasalam. Who is our ninth Imam. So community goes from one crisis to other. From one crisis to other. And we are the people that who have been always through those crises and hardships and difficulties. So that's what sometimes I tell my Sunni friends when we meet at the intrafaith meetings with Isna, Ikna, Care and all those people, and I tell them that if you want to sometime facing these difficulties or crises or challenges, you need to consult us at that time. We are smaller in numbers, yes, you always underestimate us, but we have the experience of managing and going through the crisis. No other community has faced that many crises. No community has faced the crisis which Amirul Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib and Sayyida Fatima Zahra Salamullah alayha had faced and gone through. 25 years of those challenges which Imam Ali faced, 25 years and then 5 years in the government. No community had ever a Karbala. We are the people of Karbala. No one has gone in chains in the streets of cities like Kufa and Sham. No one's ladies have gone in the courts, taken in courts and made them to stand in front of people like Yazid and Ibn Ziyad. Our children were also kept as a prisoners of war. Janab Sakina, Imam Muhammad Baqir and those young children. And then in the times of our Imams, we have gone through all the states were after us. Their intelligence agencies were after us. We were in prisons, we were killed, we were persecuted. We had to leave our hometowns, we have to keep moving from one place to other. So we have a history of suffering, we have a history of persecutions, we have a history of living the crisis and every time coming out from those crises. And every time, alhamdulillah, we were stronger than before, better than before. And this is how now we are in the time of Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad alayhi salatu wassalam. So Imam alayhi salatu wassalam passed the test. All these scholars were impressed, and Mamun looked at his court and to his relatives and his advisors and these scholars, and he said, no, tell me, anyone else wants to ask him question? They said, no, we don't want to ask him question, because in return he asks 20 questions. So if we will ask one question, he will make 20 questions for us. So the best thing is we don't ask him any question. These are the people of knowledge. These are the people of virtue. These are the people of merits. Ma'mun married his daughter Ummul Fadl to Imam alayhi salatu wassalam. And of course, this was not easy marriage. You are getting married with a princess, daughter of king, a spoiled kid, with all luxury in life. And our Imams, they were used to live very, very humble and very simple life. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam took her with him in Medina and started living there with his other family, and she was also there. She had felt that since I have come in his home and I am the daughter of king and daughter of Khalifa Ma'mun, so Imam should only now focus at me and abandon his other wives and his other children, and he should just now focus at me. And because I am his wife and I am with this background, so actually Imam should now almost obey me and follow me. And she wanted to be kind of like rule the Imam and rule the family. Of course, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam was not dying for her. This was something that Ma'mun had put in the neck of Imam, his daughter. So Imam alayhi salatu wasalam said, as a husband, I would like to be fair with you, I would like to be kind with you, fulfill your rights, but I am not someone who is going to abandon my entire family just because of you, because you are daughter of Ma'mun or you are daughter of king. I have wife, I have other children, I have my family, I have my life. I am not going to change everything just because of you, one woman. And that is also another thing what we need to learn from our Imams. That if we end up marrying a princess, so then we don't have to change our deen or our madhab or our life or our principles, or we don't have to abandon our family and siblings and parents and everybody just because of this one woman. Yes, we should be loyal with her, we should fulfill her rights, we should, meaning be kind with her and treat her with respect, but we don't have to become her slaves. And we don't have to now start dancing just on her commands. And when Imam alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, no, I'm going to live my life in my own way. And Imam didn't abandon his family. So this lady started writing now letters to her father. Father had passed away. Now the uncle, Mu'tasim. The Mu'tasim is uncle of this Fadl. And she is actually writing letters and sending complaints and exaggerating and making things and fabricating. So much so that Mu'tasim got worried and he summons Imam and he says, again kings had their own diplomatic ways of summoning. So he brings Imam and his wife and everybody in Baghdad. Imam alayhi salatu wasalam is now ending up in Baghdad while he was living in Medina very peacefully. But at the same time, Imam has to guide his community, he has to guide his ummah, he has to fulfill his responsibilities of imamat. At the same time, he is under surveillance, and surveillance is not only outside but even his own wife is also one of them. Very difficult experience. Our Imams have really suffered a big suffering, a big time. And this is our second Imam out of our 11 Imams, that who is now being poisoned by his own wife. First, you know, it was Imam Hassan al-Mujtaba alayhi salatu wassalam, that under the plans of Muawiyah, she had poisoned Imam. And now it is Mu'tasim, the uncle of Fadl, the Khalifa of the time, is behind, and he is using this wife of Imam to poison him. Imam is only 26 years old. Can you imagine? Only 26 years old. A young man has very young and little children, living away from the hometown. He is not in Medina, he is in Baghdad. And on this last day of the month of Zulqa'dah, 29th of Zulqa'dah, Imam alayhi salatu wasalam was martyred in Baghdad. And he was buried with his grandfather. You go in Qaziman, when you go in Qaziman, so you come across with two tombs, two graves together. One is the grandfather, Imam Musa al-Kazim, and the other one is grandson, Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad. Both are side by side. Both Musafir and both Gharib. Imam Musa al-Kazim was also martyred as a Musafir, as a Gharib, away from his town. But the circumstances were different. The grandfather was in chains. When they had brought his mayyit, when they had brought his tabut, he was still in chains. And he was brought and put on the bridge of Baghdad, Pole Baghdad. And they said, here is the Imam of Rafida, here is the Imam of Rafizis. He passed away and we are going to bury him. So this time is the grandson, Imam Muhammad Taqi Jawad. But he is, of course, he had different circumstances. They maintained some diplomatic norms. Apparently they tried to be respectful and tried to cover up what they had done under the diplomacy. And Imam was given the ghusl and kafan and honorable burial. But my brothers and sisters, whenever these honorable burials took place, Ahlul Bayt always remembered just one burial, which was actually not even a burial, and that was the Karbala. Every time, every family of Imam forgot their own father and their own shaheed in their own family, and while they were giving ghusl, for example, to their father or their grandfather, they remember Imam Hussain. They say, Mawla, we are still able to give ghusl to our father, but there was no one that who could do that for you in Karbala. They would sometime cry on Imam Hussain, and sometime they would cry on Imam Zainul Abidin. I would say, as son, I am doing what I am supposed to do, but oh my Imam Zainul Abidin, I know you had chains in your hands and you had those chains in your feet, and they didn't allow you to do what you were supposed to do. Sometimes they would cry on Bibi Zainab. Ladies would say, at least we are crying on our gone one. We are crying here and doing azadari. But Bibi, you were never allowed to cry on your own brother or your own sons in Karbala. So every time, that's why my brothers and sisters, our majlis, whether it is majlis of shahadat of any imam, but we recite the masahib of Karbala and masahib of Imam Hussain, because this was the tradition of Ahlul Bayt. And every imam and every family of imam, that every time when shahadat would take place, the burial would take place, everybody would still remember Imam Hussain. They would remember Imam Zainul Abidin. They would remember Bibi Zainab Salamullah Alayha, and they would give their pursa even on that day when one mayyat is sitting and one mayyat is still in their own home, but they are crying for all those in Karbala, and they were saying, Mawla la yawma ka yawmika ya Aba Abdullah. Ala la'natullahi ala qawmi zalimin wa sayya'lamu alladhina zalamu ayya munqalabin yanqalibun. پروردگار ہماری اس قلیل سی عبادت کو قبول و منظور فرما. اس مجلس کے اسپانسرز سسٹر نرگس خان اور ان کے اہل و عیال، ان کی اس اسپانسرشپ کو قبول و منظور فرما. ان کی اس خدمت کو اپنی بارگاہ میں قبول و منظور فرما اور ان کو اس کا اجر کثیر عطا فرما. پروردگار ان کے مرحومین کی مغفرت فرما. ان کو ان کی فیملی کو صحت و سلامتی کے ساتھ طول عمر عطا فرما. پروردگار ان کی دعاؤں کو مستجاب فرما، حاجات کو پورا فرما. اگر کوئی مشکلات ہیں تو ان کو دور فرما. رزق و روزی میں وسعت پیدا فرما. پروردگار جتنے بھی مومنین و مومنات مجلس میں حاضر ہوئے ہیں، سب کے مرحومین کی مغفرت فرما، ان کے درجات کو بلند فرما. شفاعت محمد و آل محمد ان سب کو نصیب فرما. پروردگار ہمارے بیماروں کو شفائے کامل و عاجل عطا فرما. ہمارے بزرگان کا سایہ ہمارے سروں پہ سلامت رکھ. ہمارے بچوں اور ہمارے جوانوں کی حفاظت فرما. پروردگار ہمارے خاص طور پہ ہمارے بچے اور جوان جو کہ ہمارا اور اسلام کا یہاں فیوچر ہیں، پروردگار ان کی حفاظت فرما اور ان کو محمد و آل محمد کے راستے پہ قائم و دائم رکھ. پروردگار تجھے واسطہ محمد و آل محمد علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام کا جتنے مومنین مجلس میں اور مومنات حاضر ہوئے ہیں، اگر ان کی کوئی دعائیں ہیں، ان کی کوئی حاجات ہیں، ان کی کوئی آرزوئیں ہیں، تو پروردگار تجھے واسطہ اس امام مظلوم کا، تجھے واسطہ جواد الائمہ امام محمد جواد کا، تجھے واسطہ ان کے والدین کا، تجھے واسطہ ان کے آباء و اجداد کا. پروردگار ان تمام مومنین کی ان حاجات کو اور دعاؤں کو قبول و منظور فرما اور سلطان عادل کا جلد ظہور فرما. بحق محمد و آل محمد علیہ الصلوۃ والسلام. صلوات.